Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tylearn, and today we're going to be starting a brand new what if. This what if has been requested multiple times, but now today I've decided why not to start this what if. And with that being said, I'm going to be starting what if Orochimaru adopted Naruto. And with that being said, honestly, it's a pretty basic premise, and people are probably a little confused on how I'm going to do it, but we'll just dive into it right now and get into it. And if you guys do want part 2, be sure to watch until the end, and if you guys decide to, want to watch part 2, be sure to leave a like and share. Thanks for watching once again, thank you for your time, and with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into part 1 of What If Orochimaru Adopted Naruto. Alright, so you guys are probably wondering how Orochimaru is going to be adopting Naruto per se, and the title might seem, might not what it seems. It's kind of just what if Orochimaru kidnapped Naruto, essentially, but I'll get into why it's kind of considered adopting, at least from Naruto's perspective, but yeah, we'll get into that. Alright, so I think Orochimaru, after figuring out about what had happened to Naruto and the 4th Hokage, he'd understand no one is really there to protect Naruto, and Kabuto would ask Orochimaru why this intrigues him. Now, to make Orochimaru want to kidnap Naruto, it's gonna be kind of similar to how he looked at Sasuke, an easy way for power. But instead of Orochimaru using Naruto, he's gonna be basically just kind of not use him as a body, but essentially use him, for an easy, guard dog or a way for him to be protected. Kurama's power is pretty destructive, and we've seen what happened between him and the Leaf Village, so imagine if Orochimaru was able to control that. He'd be unstoppable at that point, especially since the 4th Hokage, the one person who could try and hold his own against Kurama, died. So Orochimaru still wants that Uchiha clout, but he's going to be using the Nine Tails clout to basically protect himself. And with that being said, this would then lead into around when Naruto is like 1 or 2, and Orochimaru probably wouldn't have the sound 4 around this point due to them being actually relatively young, so I'm going to say here that it's just Orochimaru and Kabuto as of right now. And with this would then lead into either Kabuto basically impersonating as a Konoha ninja and abduct Naruto, or Orochimaru disguising himself and abducting Naruto. Regardless, Naruto is probably going to be abducted here, and I'll say it's probably going to be in the night so they don't cause too much alarm. Orochimaru and Kabuto easily abduct Naruto, and without even alarming anyone. Anyways, we would then move on to the next morning, where Hiruzen would realize and actually figure out that Naruto is missing. He would then, send out a little bit of ninja for the day, basically, looking around Konoha to see where he is. Maybe, it's a baby after all, right? And with that being said, they would all report that he's nowhere in the village. And this would then begin to scare Hiruzen because now he doesn't know where Minato's son is. With this, Hiruzen would then send out a platoon of ninja and search parties to basically go out and try and find this baby. It can't be too far from the Leaf Village, right? And when they all report that Naruto is nowhere to be seen, this would then be around when Kakashi would ask Hiruzen what's going on, but at the same time Jiraiya would arrive back at the village. This would then lead into Hiruzen explaining to not only Kakashi, but Jiraiya as well, as to what had happened, and Kakashi and Jiraiya are, surprised and shocked. How could this happen? How could Naruto just be mysteriously gone? Jiraiya would then theorize that this could be Orochimaru's doing due to him being lustful for power, and Naruto and Kurama, it's a pretty easy gateway to power for Orochimaru, and Kakashi would then wonder if this was maybe the person who might have helped summon the Nine Tails. Hiruzen doesn't really know who would this be, and I guess the only thing that they can really try and go with is Jiraiya's theory, which is Orochimaru. And the reason why I'm going with this is because I actually don't know if Kakashi, knows if someone summoned the Nine Tails attack or not, but I'll just say that they don't know and they have no trace of trying to get this guy. You guys could go on and correct me in the comments, but I think regardless, the best theory is going to be Orochimaru, so that's really all they can do. Jiraiya would want to go out, but Kakashi would ask Hiruzen and Jiraiya if he could go. Jiraiya at first would say no, and Hiruzen would say that it's too dangerous for Kakashi, and I don't think he's ready for that kind of mission. However, I think Kakashi would actually make a pretty good case here, as for one, he is in the Anbu, so he is a pretty high-skilled ninja. 2, he can accompany Jiraiya, and whenever Jiraiya and Orochimaru want to bury the hatchet, because Kakashi knows Jiraiya and Orochimaru have some past history, maybe Kakashi can go out and try and save Naruto. He doesn't care about Orochimaru, he just wants to save Naruto. Meanwhile, Jiraiya can distract Orochimaru, giving Kakashi time to actually save Naruto. That's his sensei's kid, and that's honestly the only person he really has left that's connected to his past in any way, Minato's son. And with that being said, this would lead into Jiraiya and Hiruzen deciding to allow Kakashi to go on along, and this would then lead into Kakashi and Jiraiya heading out to try and find Orochimaru's hideout. However, Orochimaru and Kabuto are perfectly, fine with this, as they have multiple hideouts and they're always constantly on the move. But when they're not on the move, they're basically trying to train Naruto and raise him. And now I'm going to change the perspective to Naruto. Naruto is not going to really remember anything from his past, and really all he's going to remember is Kabuto and Orochimaru taking care of him. Obviously, these two would be manipulating him to the point to where he thinks that these Leaf Ninja are actually evil, because Orochimaru and Kabuto would basically lie to Naruto and say how the Konoha villagers wanted to try and kill Naruto because of the little fox inside of him. However, Orochimaru and Kabuto believe what they should do is access this power so they could attack the people that wanted to kill Naruto all so long ago. And Orochimaru at this point in Naruto's life is looked at as a hero, a father figure, and honestly just the one person who saved him from death. The one person who was there for him when no one was there at all. And obviously this isn't true, and Orochimaru is just lying to his face along with Kabuto. However, Naruto wouldn't know this. And Kabuto would be mainly raising Naruto from a baby until, he's actually at the right age to be trained at. And around 4 or 5, Orochimaru is just going to be putting Naruto through harsh conditions and promising him that this is all going to be worth it later. At that point, this would then lead into Naruto eventually forcing Kurama out and basically being engulfed in his chakra, and this would lead into Kurama forcing and possessing Naruto to attack Orochimaru and Kurama. However, Orochimaru would then subdue Naruto and basically suppress the seal, to a point to where Orochimaru will unseal it once Naruto is at the point to where he can actually hold his own without the chakra. And with this, Naruto, over the course of his life, would be training with Orochimaru and Kabuto, learning chakra suppression techniques from Kabuto, along with basic chakra control. And once he gets that mastered, along with the chakra suppression techniques, so he can, defend himself, he would then be taken to the next level, literally by being given the curse mark. And with this, we could have, hypothetically, when Orochimaru unseals Kurama, basically Kurama and the curse mark amping Naruto at once, which seems pretty deadly, considering how One-Tailed Cloak is like, what, a 10 times boost, while the curse mark stage 2 state is 10 times, and I'm just going to be assuming the curse mark 1 stage is 5 times. So it's going to be pretty deadly. And obviously Naruto would be far stronger than his episode 1 self or his Genin self entirely due to his intense training with Kabuto and Orochimaru. And it would be to a point to where Naruto would actually be able to access the curse mark stage 1, and eventually the Sound 4 would be made and Kimimaro would join it as well. And with these training partners helping Naruto along with Orochimaru, this would lead into Naruto eventually discovering the curse mark stage 2 state along with the Sound 4 and Kimimaro around the time where the Land of Waves would take place. Naruto was a little younger than the Sound 4, however he was way more powerful than all 4 of them and even a rival to Kimimaro. Kimimaro would be holding back, and we don't know when he got sick, so I'm just going to be saying he got sick around right before the Chunin exams. So a few months would pass by and Kimimaro would then be ill, which would then lead into Naruto basically carrying the Kimimaro mantle and becoming the leader of the Sound 4, which I guess technically is the Sound 6 or Sound 5, but whatever. Naruto at this point considers the Sound 4 and Kimimaro his friends, since these are really the only other people that can relate to the same trauma that he has. Well, not to the same extent, but you get what I mean. Anyways, this would eventually lead into the Chunin exams, and I guess I can change the perspective back over to the Leaf Village, and I'll go over, what happened previously, because we still have Team 7, right? Well, not necessarily, because Kakashi is going to be going out helping Jiraiya search for them. So Kakashi is actually going to be traveling with Jiraiya, while there would probably be a new Jonin instructor for Team 7 and Sasuke and Sakura, which I'll just say Kiba joins the team because why not? And for the instructor, I'll just say it's like Ibisu. And honestly, with this, I can see them encountering Zabuza and Ibisu sacrificing himself and basically telling Sakura and Sasuke and Tazuna to basically go back to the Leaf Village. And Tazuna can't really go back home since Zabuza is going to be trying out to kill him. So he's going to be vibing in the Leaf Village for now. And as for Sasuke and Sakura, they would be completely devastated that they failed their first mission and their instructor died, and Kiba as well. As for the Kurenai member, honestly, who cares who it is? Like, no one cares. It doesn't matter anyway, because we're focusing on Naruto's perspective. But yeah, that's what would happen in the Land of Waves. Sasuke's still alive, And we would then move back to Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Naruto's perspective, who are getting ready to go out and kill the Leaf Village and Hiruzen. And this would then eventually lead into Kimimaro getting sick. Now, I probably will put text whenever I said it, but earlier in the video I did say that he got sick like around when the Chunin exam started, but that's not true because Kimimaro was there in the anime with Rasa. So I'll just say that right before that moment, Kimimaro is, ill. He gets ill. And Naruto would probably be with Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Kimimaro when that happens. And with Rasa dead, this would then lead into Orochimaru going out with his whole plan, and we would then get the plan on attack on Konoha. I'm gonna basically go over the Chunin exams, like what would happen with Orochimaru and the forced to death, because what happens is with the big snake there, Kiba probably dies along with Sakura, and I think Sasuke would be spared here because he wants to take his body, and Sasuke would unleash a rage that would actually damage Orochimaru and make him satisfied. This would lead into Orochimaru biting Sasuke's neck whenever he's worn out, and Sasuke collapsing. And with Sakura and Kiba dead, this would lead into Team Neji encountering just a downed Sasuke, and Team Dosu arriving onto the scene to see what's going on here. Rock Lee would then ask them if they have any idea what happened to his teammates, and Dosu would then say, I don't know, they probably died or something. This would then lead into Rock Lee getting enraged, saying, don't you dare say that about Sakura, and this would then lead into him rushing at Dosu with the first gate already open, meaning he's just gonna bop Dosu in the mouth. And as for Zaku, like in canon, Sasuke would be awoken, and with the first stage of the curse mark, he would break Saku's arm and bop the girl, which was, I think, Ken? Yeah, her. She gets bopped. Anyways, Team Dosu would then retreat, and with this, Sasuke would, we'll just say, barely manages to find the two scrolls, and barely passes the Chunin exams. Sasuke would barely manage to beat the Sound Ninja, and without Kakashi there to help and guide him, I think here we would have Hiruzen try and basically suppress the curse mark, which I'll just say works. And with that being said, Sasuke would do his own training and basically imitate Rock Lee's movements to try and basically catch up to his speed, because if he's going to beat Rock Lee, he needs that speed. This means in this timeline he would probably have like relatively the same speed, but he wouldn't have Chidori. I'll say around this time Jiraiya and Kakashi finally return after a long time of like journeying, like probably more than a decade. They've just been going out and trying to find these hideouts, and they found multiple, but with no trace of Orochimaru and Kabuto. And Hiruzen would then alert them that Orochimaru actually infiltrated, and Anko was the one basically telling them about it. With them hearing this, they decide to not go out, but rather just prepare defenses because Orochimaru might be back. You never know. And with this being said, we would have the 1 month gap between, the third round of the Chunin exams and the final rounds of the Chunin exams. And with no Naruto here, I think Shikamaru is just going to get bopped by Gaara, who would then try and kill Rock Lee. And with that being said, we would then move on to, Sasuke versus Gaara, which Sasuke would be managing to outspeed him, but he wouldn't have Chidori, which would mean he would just try to force him to basically bleed, and this would eventually lead into Gaara spurging out, and the plan to attack on Konoha initiating. With this, Orochimaru and Hiruzen are going to be trapped in a barrier with the Sound Fort basically powering it up, and we would then have Naruto actually infiltrate that barrier and helping Orochimaru fight Hiruzen. With Kurama here, we would have Orochimaru unsealing Kurama and telling Orochimaru that this is the leader of the village and the man that initiated the killing act on Naruto. With this, Naruto's rage would basically be blinding him essentially, and we would then get him being morphed into a one-tailed cloak. With this and Hiruzen being distracted, Hiruzen would never be able to initiate the Reaper Death Seal, which means Orochimaru's hands are never sealed, and rather Hiruzen is killed off quicker. However, during Hiruzen's time alive, he would be pushing not only Orochimaru, but also Naruto. However, when Orochimaru then summons the first and second Hokage, because at first he thinks it wasn't going to be necessary, but then he would initiate that attack, while Naruto simultaneously, as Orochimaru is doing that, would activate the Curse Mark Stage 2 state, getting 10 times stronger. With this, Naruto would be overwhelming Hiruzen, not to mention the first and second Hokage and Orochimaru himself, even with Enma there. And at most, Hiruzen is going to be trying to summon the Reaper Death Seal, but would be just getting overwhelmed and would inevitably be killed a lot quicker than in canon, like I said, and Orochimaru wouldn't have his hand sealed. With this, the Sound 4 along with Orochimaru and Naruto retreat, while Kakashi and Jiraiya try their best to deal with the beast that is Gaara, since they're the only ones at this point that can even try. and I think Kakashi with his lightning jutsu, along with basically Gamabunta and Jiraiya there accompanying him, I would say Gamabunta and Shukaku would basically stalemate, while Jiraiya and Kakashi would be focusing on Gaara, and I think Kakashi would be able to nullify Gaara's sand effects with his lightning and basically neck him. Now, I would say during the Naruto and Hiruzen encounter, Hiruzen would be trying to deny what's going on and essentially try and tell the truth to Naruto, which would confuse Naruto a little bit because Hiruzen's telling him an exact opposite thing that Orochimaru told him. But Orochimaru would just manipulate Naruto even more, saying that he's lying and he's trying to gain his trust to basically betray Orochimaru, the one person who saved Naruto. Naruto at that point would then just get rid of that thought in his head and would be convinced that Orochimaru is telling the truth. And with this, they would then recover at the Orochimaru hideout, and they would plan to steal Sasuke Uchiha. Now, I think Sasuke here wouldn't basically meet with Itachi, so he wouldn't have as much motivation to join Orochimaru's side, but I think what would happen is we would have the Sound 4 Naruto basically going out at night to steal Sasuke and convince him to join the dark side. We can have Naruto telling him about his experience and telling him what the Leaf Village wanted to do to him. And this would lead into Sasuke even telling Naruto as to what had happened with him and his clan. And this would then lead into Naruto basically telling him how, notice how a Leaf Village member, or the one person that basically Sasuke looked up to, just killed his entire family. It seems like the only way to basically satisfy Sasuke would be murdering the one person who did this to him. And this is coming from Naruto, who wants to murder everyone in Konoha that did him wrong. And he basically kind of did that already with Hiruzen, but he'd rather just destroy everyone else, except Sasuke, of course, because Orochimaru sees something in Sasuke. And with this, Naruto would put his hand out and tell Sasuke to join him, and Sasuke would agree. Sasuke would shake Naruto's hand, and the Sound 4, or Sound 5, along with Sasuke, would then head out. And with this, Sasuke would be trapped in that little barrier thing to basically get his Curse Mark II stage out. And the Sasuke retrieval team would still be made pretty much the same, but except without Naruto there. And with this happening, we would have Jirobo trapping them, and we'll just say that they get out eventually. And Jirobo and Choji would fight, and Choji would win. We would have Tyuyu versus Shikamaru. We would have Kiba versus Ukon and Sakon. We would have Neji versus Kidomaru, and we would also have the Sand Trio not arriving in this timeline due to Gaara not really thinking that he needs to owe them, and he already killed Rock Lee as well. Not to mention, this Gaara, again, not Takno Jutsu, this Gaara is still kind of evil, but he's just, I guess, less evil. He's not the same Gaara that went through that entire character arc, which would allow him and the Sand Trio to go out and basically help out the Leaf and owe them a favor. What's going to happen here is Shikamaru and Kiba would probably die against their opponents, while Neji and Choji would barely survive. And as for Kimimaro, when he arrives, well, he doesn't even need to arrive, honestly, because Naruto's there. But Kimimaro would be there for backup just in case, and we would have Kimimaro and Naruto delivering Sasuke, while Kidomaru and Jirobo would fall. Ukon and Sakon and Tyuyu would lick up their wounds and arrive back at the hideout, where they would be told, well done, but they need to recover. And Kabuto would basically be there to heal them up. Now, we would then get the 2.5-year gap where the Akatsuki would eventually, after this arc, would go out and try and hunt down the Jinchuriki, and Konoha basically preparing for that arc, and Orochimaru, Naruto, and Sasuke preparing for their training arc, because Naruto needs to defend himself against the Akatsuki. And this would then lead into Sasuke and Naruto actually training with each other, and I'll get into a little more in depth as to what is going down during these next 2.5 years. Alright, so we begin with Naruto and Sasuke in the middle of training. This is in the middle of the 2.5-year gap where the Akatsuki are basically getting ready to go and track down the Jinchuriki. And I'll say here, Kisame and Itachi obviously don't know where Naruto is because of where Orochimaru and Kabuto are, like they're always on the move. Meaning, I don't think Kisame and Itachi would be able to track Naruto down. And with this, Kisame and Itachi never encounter or even go inside of the Leaf Village. With that being said, we would then have Sasuke and Naruto obviously growing in power and actually forming a friendship. Now, the thing is, they both want revenge, but Sasuke and Naruto's ideologies are obviously a little different. Because Naruto wants to basically destroy everything in the Leaf Village because of what they did to him, and Sasuke specifically wants to get rid of Itachi. Naruto's kind of on his Taka Sasuke shit, if you get what I mean. Like, he's being a spurg and being very rebellious, very dangerous. However, he has come to respect Sasuke as not only a friend, but kind of like a brother, because Naruto's never really had a friend before, besides the Sound 4 and Kabuto and Orochimaru, but he mostly looks up to Orochimaru and Kabuto. They're kind of like his parents. Not in, like, a weird way with Orochimaru and Kabuto. Like, you get what I mean. Naruto and Sasuke would be growing a bond with each other, and Naruto promises that he won't intervene with Sasuke's plan, but he wants to actually assist him and make him as strong as possible. He needs to be ready for Itachi. He seems pretty terrifying. With that being said, Orochimaru would help not only increase Sasuke's power, but also Naruto's. Now, Naruto and Sasuke are basically receiving the same type of training, but we have to understand, in terms of, like, base-to-base, Naruto is way more powerful than Sasuke in this timeline, due to, you know, him going under extreme conditions to train with Orochimaru in the Sound 4. By the way, with Kimimara's death, this would lead into Naruto basically being established as the leader of the Sound 5 now. Or, I guess the Sound 4, because now it's Tayuya, Ukon and Sakon, Sasuke, and Naruto. Well, I guess the Sound 4 or Sound 5 if you want to count Ukon and Sakon separately. But anyways, Naruto and Sasuke would always be sparring in their Curse Mark Stage 2 forms, and they're obviously going to be growing stronger and stronger. Now, we could just skip over to the end of the 2.5 year gap. I'm not going to go over the leaf, like what's going to be going down there, because the only thing that's changing is Kakashi getting stronger. Anyways, after this, we would have Naruto and Sasuke be in their teenage states, with Sasuke being stronger than his heavy self due to him training with Naruto, and Naruto even being stronger than that Sasuke. I'd say at this point, rather with Sasuke kind of struggling with Deidara, I would actually have basically this Sasuke bop that Deidara. So he's a lot more powerful. Like, that's a little bit of an indication to show how much stronger they have gotten. The Kazekage rescue mission isn't going to be happening here because, I mean, they don't really care all that much, and Temari and them aren't friends or whatever, so I'm gonna say here that doesn't happen, and Gaara just dies with Temari or Chio becoming the new Kazekage, and Kankuro would die as well due to Sasori's poison. And as for the Orochimaru mission, that's not going to be happening as well, due to them never encountering Sasori, who would give them the information. So, no Yamato introduction, no Sai, none of that is going to be happening here. And as for the Kakuzu arc, that's not going to be happening here. Like, the Asuma encounter would probably happen. The two ninja that originally came with Asuma and Shikamaru would come, but Shikamaru wouldn't be here because, you know, he died in part 1. So, this would mean Asuma would probably die to Hidan faster due to Shikamaru actually needing to help Asuma. So Asuma would be killed. Now, I said something earlier, but I want to actually clarify this. This is actually coming up random. I know, wild, right? Future Tylearn here. But, yeah, Itachi and Kisame, I'll say, do go to the leaf, but there's no sign of the Nine Tails, so they just kind of dip. And Kakuzu and Hidan would be aware of this, so they would have no reason to go to the leaf. So yeah, there you go. And now we can move on. Now, after this, we would essentially have Orochimaru decide to try and finally take Sasuke's body. And by the way, this isn't Orochimaru 6, so Sasuke's gonna have a much harder time trying to deal with him. And honestly, this conflict would put Naruto in a very weird position. It's either Orochimaru, the person who saved him from death long ago and from his perspective, or save Sasuke, his brother, and the one person that could kind of relate to him. While Naruto is basically kind of in a daze and thinking what to do, Orochimaru and Sasuke are swapping hands right now, with Orochimaru obviously having the advantage due to him having a healthier body. However, Sasuke would kick things up a notch with him going into his Curse Mark Stage 1 state. He's actually doing better, but it's still not enough to deal with Orochimaru once he transforms into that weird white sage snake thing. This forces Sasuke to use Curse Mark Stage 2, and yes, he is on the back burner and trying to basically fight against Orochimaru. You know, maybe with this Curse Mark Stage 2, he would actually be able to overwhelm him, but that's not going to be happening here, as Orochimaru is still putting him on the back burner, and Sasuke is getting a little overwhelmed. Now Naruto needs to make a critical decision now. Like, he needs to make a decision now, or else Sasuke is going to die. So, what is he going to do? Naruto would go into his Curse Mark Stage 2 state, and he would basically push Orochimaru off Sasuke. He's not obviously going to try and kill Orochimaru right now, but he wants an answer as to why he's doing this to Sasuke when he manipulated him and gave him all this power. Orochimaru would then say the truth is that he wanted to use his power for himself. Naruto would try to proceed to ask Orochimaru more, but Orochimaru would cut him off and say to get out of the way because he's intervening and being a little bit of a pest right now. With this, Sasuke would quickly grab Naruto and they both would rush out of the room, and as this happened, Sasuke would then call upon his ultimate jutsu, Karen. He would slam it down on Orochimaru and Kabuto, with Orochimaru barely managing to survive, and he would regenerate, while Kabuto would get absolutely smashed from this jutsu. And since this is normal human Kabuto, I'd assume that he would probably be dead. And with this, Naruto is honestly shocked because Kabuto and Orochimaru are seemingly dead from this attack, and Sasuke would say Kabuto for sure is, but I'm not sure about Orochimaru. And this would still hurt Naruto because Kabuto was like his caretaker, like his nurse, the person who kind of raised him better than Orochimaru. With this, Naruto is worried about Orochimaru and wants to go back, and Sasuke would then say that why would he want to go back? He's trying to kill Sasuke, and Sasuke and Naruto, they're supposed to be like brothers. They're supposed to stick together. And with this would then hit Naruto, and now Naruto honestly doesn't know what to do because Orochimaru and Sasuke are two people that are really important to Naruto. But Sasuke would tell Naruto to face reality. Sasuke would try to hit in Naruto's head, not literally but metaphorically, about how Kabuto and Orochimaru already were aware of this plan to try and kill Sasuke and try and take his Sharingan, and they didn't even tell Naruto. Doesn't that kind of ring a bell? Doesn't that kind of hit Naruto? And Naruto never really realized this, and Naruto kind of thinks that maybe Orochimaru isn't as good as he seemed, but Naruto at the end of the day still was raised by him, and he wants to make sure he's alright. And Sasuke would then say, well, you need to make a decision, because if Naruto goes with Orochimaru, that means he is an enemy. Honestly, I think Naruto would go with Sasuke. Now, hear me out. Don't get mad, guys, but just listen to me. This is why, right? He's not obviously going to try and kill Orochimaru the next time he sees him. However, he does see potential in maybe trying to talk to Orochimaru and try and basically get the truth out of him. Why he never really told Naruto the truth about Sasuke. Why, train Sasuke all this time and basically fill all these thoughts in his head and make him as strong as he was just to try and take his body, just to kill him, could he have been lying about other things? Could he have been lying to Naruto? Naruto doesn't know, so he does want to figure this out. And you guys probably think, oh, well, wouldn't this give Naruto reasons to go with Orochimaru? Well, no, because Sasuke kind of convinced Naruto about this, but the next time they do meet, he does want to talk to him. Plus, Naruto did promise that he would help Sasuke along the way. And, just in case if Sasuke gets in trouble, Naruto will protect him, but when it comes to Itachi and they fight, he won't intervene. But he will make sure Sasuke is alive after the fight. Like, just in case if Sasuke, blacks out after beating him. It will be an intense fight, Naruto presumes, so Naruto's going to be there for backup. And with that being said, Sasuke and Naruto would then shake hands, and they would basically head on out. Meanwhile, Orochimaru would be in a rage, since not only did he not get Sasuke's body, Kabuto is dead, and Naruto had left him. And with this, Orochimaru plans to get revenge, and is on the hunt for Sasuke and Naruto. Deidara and Sasori would be out and about trying to hunt Jinchuriki, and they would come across Sasuke and Naruto wandering, and with this, Deidara would want to fight both of them at once. Yes, he doesn't want Sasori to intervene, he wants to fight not only the Jinchuriki, but also Itachi's brother. With this, Sasuke and Naruto both wombo combo Deidara before he can even get C0 off, and with this, Deidara would just die. As for Sasori, Sasori would then try and fight with his Hiriko shell, he would get destroyed, and then it would be the real puppet body, and it would just kind of be Naruto and Sasuke blitzing Sasori, but he keeps on regenerating, but they eventually hit the core, maybe with Sasuke using Kirin, but regardless, it's going to be getting hit, and he's going to die. Naruto during this battle would awaken Kurama and would even go into a semi-four-tailed state. He was really close, but Sasuke managed to snap him out of it. As this is going down, Jiraiya would be heading off to go and get some information in the Rain Village, and the whole pain encounter would be going down as per normal, while Itachi's crow would actually come across Sasuke, and this would lead into Sasuke and Itachi then meeting up for their final fight. Now, I'm going to say here, Naruto doesn't go along with Sasuke, rather just kind of hides up in a tree or is just hiding somewhere, due to the Akatsuki previously telling Naruto that they do want his chakra or the beast inside of him, And so with this, Naruto is going to be hiding somewhere nearby, but not like too close, so Kisame is not going to be there and to try and fight him or whatever. But what's going to be happening is Orochimaru is going to be hunting them down and is basically trying to track them. And he would immediately get a clue as to where they are because he is kind of nearby where the Uchiha hideout is, and he would see Kirin being slammed, indicating Sasuke being there. I'll say Naruto hears this as well and, sees the lightning and would head into the hideout first because he would be a lot closer than Orochimaru, I would assume. And with this, Itachi would give Sasuke the Amaterasu, to protect himself from Obito. And before Zetsu could try and take Sasuke, this would lead into Naruto coming through the walls, taking Sasuke, and then running out. And this would lead into Zetsu reporting this to Obito, which would enrage him. Meanwhile, Orochimaru would arrive a few moments after Naruto already takes Sasuke and is out and about, and he would basically be enraged because he knows that he was too late. And with Itachi dead, Orochimaru can't access that body, and this would lead into Sasuke and Naruto kind of being in a weird position. They would probably, be in the forest, and honestly, they probably won't go back to Konoha due to Naruto hating them and all that stuff. However, maybe Naruto can try and convince Sasuke to maybe try and talk to Orochimaru, and Sasuke would obviously deny this and would try and think of a new plan. And this is where I'm going to be leaving it off for you guys. Now, you're going to tell me what's going to happen. I'm going to let you guys do this. I'll put a community tab, poll thing, and you guys can vote on it. So, we get option 1. They basically just vibe out in the forest, and maybe Pain would probably come across Naruto and Sasuke, or Kisame, and basically try and scrap with them. 2, Orochimaru finds them, and they would hash it out. Or 3, Naruto and Sasuke just poop around in the forest, and I don't know, maybe, I don't know, man. Option 3, poop around. So, what do you guys want to do? Option 1, option 2, or option 3? Let me know down below. Alright, so we start our story where we last left off, where I basically let you guys decide what was going to be happening. Either Pain would arrive, or Orochimaru would arrive, or both of them would arrive. And you guys essentially voted for the third option, both of them to arrive. So we'll say that firstly Orochimaru would arrive, encountering Naruto and Sasuke, who are just basically recovering from the forest, and Sasuke would already recap to Naruto what had happened during the Itachi fight. With this, Naruto and Sasuke are ready to fight, but then Orochimaru would also see the 6 paths of Pain arrive. Now with Pain here, I think Orochimaru would decide to work with Naruto and Sasuke and try and basically get them to get on his side, rather than all just fight each other, because the paths of Pain are powerful, and even Orochimaru can't handle them. And Sasuke and Naruto would even say that they can handle Orochimaru, and this guy as well, and Orochimaru would then say, yeah, probably with you two together, but not separately, clearly. That main path right there, he would then point towards the Diva path. He completely destroyed me when I fought him. And with that being said, they would all try and basically work together for this one time. After this encounter, they're basically gonna try and kill Orochimaru, but they would work together, and this would then lead into Sasuke activating his Curse Mark 2 state, and Orochimaru getting into his Hydra Snake form. His full power transformation, the form that he went into against Itachi. This form would allow Orochimaru to basically keep up with the paths of Pain and actually distract them, long enough for Naruto and Sasuke to basically try and get an open shot on Pain, but they would then realize that the Rinnegan actually just negs them when he perceives them. And Orochimaru would forget to mention this, and this would then lead into Naruto and Sasuke trying to adapt, and Orochimaru summoning snakes to try and distract Pain and close his eye vision. Basically just getting in front of him to close his field of vision, and this would lead into Sasuke actually getting an actual good hit on Pain, but it would only be to the side and it wouldn't be anything fatal. However, it is some damage that Sasuke could, be proud of. This would then lead into Pain saying not bad, and Naruto then coming from behind Pain and trying to hit him with a clothesline punch. But Pain would luckily dodge this in time and would then grab Naruto's fist and then slam him into the ground. He would then get a chakra rod, which he would then try and stab into Naruto, but Sasuke would then throw his sword to basically cut the chakra rod and basically cancel out his attack. Sasuke would then use a fireball jutsu, which Pain would easily manage to, get out of the way. However, he used this to basically get Pain away from Naruto so Sasuke could save him. At that point, Naruto manages to get up on his 2 feet thanks to Sasuke, and Sasuke and Naruto both wielding the power of the curse mark, both of them using their stage 2 power and combining it and basically working in unison to basically attack Pain, with one of them blocking Pain's vision and the other one striking. And obviously, you know, multiple times they would be switching simultaneously, and this would even distract Pain due to them having really good teamwork. This is due to the fact that Sasuke and Naruto have been training together for so long, and they're essentially like brothers at this point. This would then lead into Pain using a almighty push and then a universal pull, but specifically for Naruto, where he would then stab a chakra rod through Naruto's throat, where he would seemingly be killed. You know, he's choking out, and this would then lead into Sasuke. Sasuke, seeing this, is completely shocked and he can't do anything about it. The best thing he can do is try and rush at Pain, and basically with Sasuke just getting fueled up by rage due to his best friend dying right in front of him, this would then lead into his eyes changing form and him awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan. He would then rush at Pain with his Curse Mark 2 state along with his MS, and when Pain tries to shoot a Shinra Tensei, Sasuke would be blown back, but he would be able to recover thanks to his wings, and his blinding rage had basically increased his power. And with this, Sasuke would then shoot out an Amaterasu, but right before that, he would get in front of Pain, basically blindsiding him, casting the Amaterasu as Pain shoots out another Shinra Tensei that would revert Sasuke into base form and basically make him down for the count. But that isn't to say that his Amaterasu would diminish, as Sasuke would use the last bit of chakra he has to use the Amaterasu and burn the Diva Path. Pain is having very heavy damage on himself, but luckily he would Shinra Tensei away the Amaterasu. At that point, we would then get Naruto basically being healed up by Kurama, and Pain is shocked because the chakra rods are supposed to neg, that from happening, but Kurama just has so much more chakra that the chakra rods basically can't absorb all of it, and this would then lead to Kurama healing Naruto's neck and him removing the chakra rod. At that point, Naruto would see Sasuke down for the count, and he would then be fueled up by rage, and he would then awaken the further stages of Kurama, going into his 4-tailed state, combined with his Curse Mark Stage 2, by the way, and then going into his 5-tailed, and then even his 6-tailed V2 state, the one with the bone that fought Pain in the original timeline. That being said, Orochimaru is just going to be watching this, fighting the other passive Pain, and he would probably just knock them all away and just try and basically escape, leading into this being a 6v1. But while Sasuke is down, we see Orochimaru retreat, but he would realize that Sasuke is, down, so maybe while the 6 passive Pain can fight Naruto, he can try and take Sasuke's body. And Naruto is currently dealing with the passive Pain, so he wouldn't be able to try and get Orochimaru, and with this, Orochimaru would try and sneak his way back into the battlefield and try and take away Sasuke's body. While this is happening, Naruto would then face off against the 6 passive Pain, ripping them apart. Especially when he gets into the further stages of Kurama and nearly awakening him, basically negging all the passive Pain that isn't the Diva Path, and he would then basically try and get a desperate attempt to get a W by using the Chibaku Tensei, which would then lead into Minato intervening. Minato would then reveal about what he had done, and Naruto would basically get pissed off because he would tell them how the Leaf Village basically destroyed him or tried to kill him, but Orochimaru saved him. Minato would then say how that isn't true and Orochimaru has been clearly lying to you because Hiruzen Sarutobi is a kind-ass man and he would never do that to Minato because he did care about Minato and he would always look out for his best interest. With this being said, Minato had basically explained to Naruto everything, and with this indication, Naruto would basically think that maybe Sasuke wasn't lying about him being manipulated, and Orochimaru has been manipulating Naruto this entire time. When Naruto would come to this realization, he would break down, but Minato would basically try and say that it's not the time for this, and he needs to get his head back into the game. He understands that this is a lot to take in, but he needs to win this fight now, and he needs to hurry up before Orochimaru tries to do anything stupid. This would then lead into Naruto realizing that Sasuke is knocked out, and Orochimaru could be trying to take his body. At that point, Naruto says that he'll get his head back into the game, and Minato would then say, "Good luck, son." At that point, Naruto would then be released from the Chibaku Tensei, and it's now a 1v1 with a weakened Pain versus Naruto, who is going to be using his Curse Mark Stage 2 state, and basically all the chakra he has left to defeat Pain. He would basically use Shadow Clones and use the fact that Shinra Tensei basically is like a 5-second recoil after using it once, and he can't use it like multiple times. This gives Naruto the opportunity to basically attack Pain from behind whenever he's done using the Shinra Tensei, and then finish him off with, I don't know, maybe like a wind style Gale Palm or something with the curse mark. Regardless, he's just going to be killing the Diva Path by off-guarding him, and he would then be defeated. With that being said, we would then get Naruto quickly going to Sasuke's body, and at this point Orochimaru has already arrived and is getting ready to take his body. Naruto would then go back into his base form, realizing that he is pretty low on chakra. However, he would use a little bit of his chakra to basically make a shadow clone and propel that shadow clone off to Orochimaru, basically throwing the shadow clone to headbutt him in the face and stopping him. Orochimaru would then fall back, and Naruto would realize that Orochimaru is weakened as well due to him fighting all the paths of pain. And Orochimaru would then say that we both may be weakened, but Naruto still can't defeat him. This would then lead into Orochimaru throwing out his hand, which would then be wrapped around snakes, and he would then stretch it all the way towards Naruto. Naruto would dodge it, and this would then lead into him stepping on the hand, basically slamming Orochimaru into the ground, and he would tell Orochimaru that he knows the truth about what he did, and basically him lying to him this whole time, and him being basically this big ass enemy for the Leaf rather than the Leaf being the enemy. And Orochimaru would then laugh, and he would then say, "I figured you'd find out eventually. But yeah, you were nothing to me but a mere guard dog." With that being said, Naruto would then get enraged, and Kurama would also be feeling Naruto up at this point. Him looking at the situation, he would realize that he should help out Naruto. So Kurama gives Naruto chakra, amping him into a two-tailed cloak, and with Naruto having all of this chakra and Orochimaru being pretty fatigued, he would then use his Curse Mark 2 to amp himself even further, and then slam Orochimaru into the ground. With that being said, Naruto would then decapitate Orochimaru and curse him for doing this to Naruto and basically ruining his whole life. Orochimaru as a head would basically try and get to Sasuke's body, but Naruto would touch Sasuke's body, basically giving him Kurama chakra, and Sasuke would awaken. Having all of this power and this chakra overflowing, he would then see Orochimaru's head and then just slap it away. With that being said, Naruto feels this power along with Sasuke, and both of them would basically just dig Orochimaru under a hole and hope that he never comes back. Essentially just heat on him. However, Orochimaru might eventually just recover and maybe get a new body, who knows, but for now Orochimaru isn't a threat. Now as for Obito, I honestly think after this Naruto and Sasuke can't really do anything besides maybe go back to the Leaf, but at this point Naruto is a criminal, so I don't think that's going to be happening. And with that being said, I think they could just vibe out in the forest, I guess, or go to Orochimaru's hideout. But honestly, it doesn't really matter, since with this, Obito is going to take Nagato's Rinnegan, basically become the strongest in the series at this point, and declare the 4th Great Ninja War. Naruto and Sasuke would be in the middle of the war, and Obito would basically send out the Akatsuki to try and kill Sasuke and Naruto, and if that doesn't work, Obito would personally kill him. And with that being said, this is pretty much GG for Obito, because Killer Bee would probably get negged by Kisame rather than Taka, and Kakuzu and Hidan and all of them, they would probably die against Naruto and Sasuke, but I do believe Obito would just finish him off. Regardless, Obito is going to be catching the W here, and with that being said, yeah, it's pretty much a bad ending, because Naruto and Sasuke are just not that strong. Like, they're not strong enough to basically keep up. Naruto wouldn't get Sage Mode or KCM, and the best thing he has is Curse Mark Stage 2, but it's not going to be enough for Obito's Kamui and Rinnegan. And Sasuke is at this point only at his MS stage with his Curse Mark, but it's not going to be enough. Especially with the 10 Tails then coming, and then Obito would just basically stop the whole verse. And yeah, guys, there wouldn't be a reanimated army, but 10 Tails Obito just soloing everyone. And that's pretty much the end for part 3 of What If Orochimaru Adopted Naruto. Yep, there's not going to be Boruto because Boruto doesn't exist. Yeah, guys, with that being said, this is a bad ending, which is kind of surprising. Actually, not really, because, you know, Naruto is completely different. But anyways, guys, what did you guys think of this part? Did you guys like it? Let me know down below. Share with your friends. Comment down below what other what ifs I should do. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell. That way you are notified and updated every time I upload, because you guys might not get notified unless you hit the bell. So hit the bell. Also subscribe if you're watching my videos. And follow my Twitter. Join the Discord. That being said, peace out, guys. Hope you guys have a nice day.